How are you lovely people doing today? My name is John. Welcome to the return of the greatest series on the internet, nay, the greatest series in the universe, the Top 5. This is one of the most interactive Top 5 series on all of the internets. So, last time I gave you my top 5 hardest spots to train in all of Zombies, and then you guys in the comments below told me your hardest places to train in all of Zombies. I then went through the comments, added them up, added all the thumbs up, and I saw which training spots, according to you guys, the community, are the hardest, the most difficult in all of Zombies. This was a list entirely written by you guys, the community. Without further ado, let's begin. So I'm gonna be honest, I felt like y'all wrote a pretty terrible list this time around. The thing is, you didn't really pick good spots that were training spots. You just picked hallways that make it incredibly difficult to train. I mean, nobody historically trains in some of the places that are on this list. However, y'all nailed it with the bonus slot. Coming in at number 6 spot was the Shangri-La AK-74U room. This is a great example of a difficult training spot. This is a fairly historic training spot. This is where people have set Shangri-La records, but it's also very difficult. If you don't have a weapon that allows you to kill the zombies quickly, in my case, the python, or if you're lucky, the baby gun, you're gonna be screwed. There are so many little nooks and crannies you can get yourself stuck into, and the way the spawns are set up, it is very difficult and easy to get cut off. Not to mention if a fire zombie comes in, that makes it even harder. You have to keep that door shut by the AK-74U, otherwise you're gonna be screwed. This is a great example of a training spot. It's difficult, it's historic, and it's just all around a very treacherous place to be. Sliding on into the number 5 spot, we have the Mob of the Dead docks by the dog. Now, this is a place where I felt as though you guys hit the mark. Sure, it is a very difficult place to train. I mean, the only place you can really escape is forward, but the problem is that's where the zombies are spawning from, not to mention they're also jumping down from the ledge. It is a very difficult place to train, I'll give you that. The problem is, nobody ever really historically trains here. The only time you're ever in this area is to maybe feed the dogs some souls, get yourself some plane parts, or grab yourself a Thompson or maybe hit the box. Other than that, you don't really spend too much time in this area, so I didn't really feel like this was a great difficult training spot. Sure, it's a tough place to be when you're in a tricky situation, but for the most part it's not really a training spot. Now what you may find yourself doing is training over here by the front of the dock, but you probably aren't going to spend too much time there, and even then it isn't that difficult. You do have some room to work with. I feel like there are much harder places you can train that are pretty famous training spots, but this was your number 5 spot. Next up is the number 4 spot, and you guys said the Shangri-La Power Room is a difficult place to train, and I'll give you that. In fact, I end up downing attempting to get this gameplay right here. It's not easy to train here. The way the room's set up with those 3 sections, it's very easy to get yourself cut off. Unless you have something like the baby gun, you're probably going to end up dying. You'll notice my python in this gameplay was not sufficient, and I end up downing myself. I get trapped in this corner right here. Luckily, I was able to escape, but I could not really manage to pull much out of this area. It's a tough place to train. It's not really a training spot, like I said. You're only ever here when you're just sort of passing through, hitting the mystery box, or turning on the power. It's not exactly meant to train. There's no room to train. If you want to train, you either need to go by either where Jug or Speed Cola might be, or maybe go in the AK-74U room. Nobody's ever training to the high rounds here. It's way too difficult of a training spot. It would just be silly. The 5 laboratories comes in as the 3rd hardest zombie training spot, according to you guys, the community. Now this is an area where I felt like, man, you guys just missed the mark completely. You'll notice in this gameplay, I don't have Jug on me. I don't have Jug on me because I stepped away from my keyboard for a minute, got boxed in by a crawler, and boom, there goes Jug. But I'm like, you know what, this isn't a difficult place to train. I'm sure I could do this without Jug, and what do you know? I ended up doing it. The key is, you just have to keep moving forward. You want to run a single route, don't shoot until you have all the zombies spawned in, and don't keep your back turned to the spot in front of you for too long, otherwise you're just gonna get sneaked attacked by the zombie. It's fairly simple, you just gotta keep moving forward. It's not really a difficult training spot, but it's also not really a historic training spot on the map 5 either. Nobody is ever training for the high rounds down here. You're only ever down here to hit the box or to chase down that goddamn Pentagon thief. But anyway, this was your 3rd hardest training spot. The 2nd hardest training spot, according to y'all, the community, was the Origin starting room. This is a very difficult place to train in. Sometimes you'll get flushed in here by the big guy, sometimes you're here to turn on a generator, or sometimes you're here just to grab quick revive. And either way, you're typically going to get trapped in it, and it's going to force you to train for a little bit, because the nature of this room is that there's 2 exits, and usually there's zombies coming from both sides, and you might need to spend some time here powering up a generator. When you have guys coming in, just sort of spawning in, the Templar zombies, and you're also dealing with maybe a big guy like I am, it is very difficult. You're going to have to force yourself to go into here, and I had to do some tricky maneuvers to escape. There's only one exit once you're down here, and you better hope you can make a break for that exit, otherwise you are doomed. This is a very difficult training spot. Now, it isn't one that people would ever use for the high rounds, however, I will let this one slide because there are valid reasons to end up training here, and it is very difficult. I was lucky to escape that bottom pit of the room. But anyway, this was your second hardest training spot. The number 1, the hardest, the most frustrating training spot, as voted on by you guys, the community, was the Mob of the Dead rooftop. Now, this one threw me for a loop when I saw it won the vote. I was like, really? The Mob of the Dead roof spot is the hardest training spot in all of zombies? I don't know about that. I mean, I find that I'm able to train here just fine. It does get a little bit hectic. It does get a little chaotic. However, if you keep a blundergat on you, or really any weapon for that matter, you should be fine. Just keep moving forward and make sure you don't turn your back for too long. Otherwise, like in the labs, you're just going to get sneak attacked by a zombie. But you should be fine here. It's not a very difficult place to train. In fact, I found myself doing it to the high rounds before, back when Mob of the Dead first came out, and I didn't realize that the cafeteria was the better place for training. It's really not that bad. You have some open space right here, and you can also run a route around the launch pad if really you need to. So I'm not sure I necessarily agree with you guys with this number 1 hardest training spot of all time, and I think you guys would agree with me as well. However, you guys voted on it as a community. This was your number 1 hardest training spot. Now, if you guys enjoyed this top 5 or found it interesting, maybe give it a like, possibly subscribe. I'm going to be uploading a new top 5 every week, and if you enjoyed this one, I'm sure you'll love the next one. Now, if you'd like to keep in the loop of what's going on with John, please do go check out my second channel down below. I'm going to be uploading a lot of vlogs to that very soon. I'll be going away to Germany in less than a week for a 3-week exchange trip, and I'm hopefully going to be doing daily vlogs on that channel. So if you'd like to keep up to date with me, see more of me, see my beautiful face, maybe go subscribe to that channel. There already are some pretty cool videos on there that maybe you'll find interesting. Anyway, I'm going to go. Have a wonderful day, and bye.